Today's video will focus on two classic iconic style dessert wines. I'll include a tasting of two specific wines to search out. Both have reasonably good international availability. This is a category of wine that will show some level of sweetness. And I know for some people, this may amount to strike 1, 2, and 3. That really shouldn't be the case. Sweetness is just a small part of what defines this category of wine. Now, I won't spend any time focusing on the cheap industrial plonk sweet wines. The focus here will be on time-honored, classic wines that show a sense of place. The focus will be on Sauternes and Rutherglen Muscat, two of my favorite dessert wines. Sauternes has been a long-time favorite, but Rutherglen Muscat is something that I didn't fully appreciate until I lived in Australia not all that many years ago. 2021 Chateau Doisy Daene. This is one of the great classified chateaus from the commune of Barsac, not too far from the city of Bordeaux. The wines in this region have the option of being labeled as Barsac or Sauternes. Semillon is the predominant grape variety, often supported with Sauvignon Blanc and Muscadel, but with this example, it's entirely made from Semillon. I've seen the wine sold at Costco on the West Coast. It's also at Total Wine. You can find it in a number of other places as well. Expect to pay around $22 for a 375 milliliter bottle. As for the 2021 vintage, I've tasted many at trade events, and it's outstanding for Sauternes. The wines have excellent weight and structure. They're perfect for long-term cellaring, although the overall production level is quite small. Quality for Sauternes is far superior to that of Red Bordeaux from the same vintage. The 2021 vintage for Sauternes is a year with a good deal of botrytis. It's a mold that pierces the grape skin. It draws out the water and concentrates the sugar. It also changes the metabolism of the grape, adding richness and a density to the finished wine. The grapes are hand harvested by multiple passes through the vineyard to pick at the ideal level of ripeness. The wine is barrel fermented and barrel aged. The wines often display tartrate crystals, which are harmless and tasteless. As the wine ages, it gains a complexity and a range of tertiary notes. The wine's color will deepen with time, as you can see by the side-by-side comparison of a 2021 and a 1998. Sauternes at this age typically has a yellow-gold color. The tiny suspended particles are tartrate crystals. Now, before I taste the wine, there's one other point that I'd like to make. Give the glass a good swirl. That was a pitiful swirl. What I'm trying to show is the concentration that this wine has. There's a viscosity to it because of the high sugar level. And the wine will actually cling to the inside of the glass and then slowly make its way back down into the base of the wine glass. This characteristic also lends a tactile impression on the palate. Now, in terms of the aroma, there's this orange blossom, ginger, mango, peach characteristic. There's a good whiff of vanilla, and that's coming from the use of new oak. And the most predominant characteristic here is one of honey. Very lifted, expressive. Just love the way this smells. On the palate, there is ample volume here. Very weighty, full, rich. Obviously, there's sweetness here, but there's enough acidity to counter the sweetness. The wine doesn't come across as cloying. That oak characteristic certainly does show through, but tremendous length on this wine. Now, this is very youthful. This wine has excellent aging potential. This is a good candidate for aeration. And I believe this wine actually will show more if it's given a little bit of time to be exposed to air. So I'll retaste this wine and report back at the end of this video. But it's drinking beautifully at the present time. I love it. This wine is truly outstanding. Next up is the All Saints Muscat from Rutherglen. This is the warm inland part of Victoria, Australia, well north of Melbourne. It's made from what is locally called Brown Muscat. It's also made through a Solera system, which is fractional blending from many vintages. This is an iconic classic, and up until the 1960s, Fortified wine was far and away the most consumed wine style in Australia. It comes in a 375 milliliter bottle. Expect to pay around $18. This bottle has a glass closure. To open it, use your thumb to pop the top. The stopper can be reused to reseal the bottle. The wine has a deep amber appearance while retaining a bit of a reddish tint. So take a look at this. Now, if the first wine clung to the inside of the glass, this one even more so. The sugar content on this wine is quite a bit higher. Now, in terms of the aroma, I wish you could smell this. There is this orange peel, roasted nut, fig, caramel, something that's even a bit exotic. There's a characteristic here that's a bit reminiscent of cardamom. Smells absolutely fantastic. Now keep in mind, this wine is fortified, but unlike port, this is fortified very early in the production process. So just as the yeast are starting to do its thing, the wine will be fortified. In this case, it's raised to a 17% alcohol. And what that'll do is it'll stabilize the wine, it'll stop the fermentation, and retain a good level of sweetness. Now, one other point on this wine, this is something that will keep for weeks after it's been opened. And just pop the glass closure back in, stand the bottle upright, put it in a cool, dark place, definitely keep it away from a heat source, and the wine will last for weeks. On the palate, sensational. Very rich, super concentrated. This has low acidity, and the feeling on the palate is very, very broad. Excellent length on the back palate. I mean, the wine is just tremendous. A little bit of this goes a long way. Now, in Australia, oftentimes this wine is served a bit chilled. For me, I prefer it more at room temp, but that's completely up to you. But the wine is just wonderful. At this point, it's been about 4 hours since I tried the first wine. I poured a glass of it, set it on the countertop, did cheat a little bit. Every now and then I'd come back, give it a sniff and a taste, and the wine has changed. Now, my initial impression on this was orange blossom and peach, mango, had that vanilla honey characteristic. Almost a little bit of a spiciness here. It's a bit reminiscent of ginger, but the aroma is excellent, and it definitely did benefit from some aeration. On the palate, it's ripe, rich, weighty, very well balanced. The wine is absolutely outstanding. Now, definitely do not serve this too cold. About 1 hour in the fridge, let's say around 10 degrees Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit, that would be the ideal temp. Any colder than that, and potentially you tap down some of the aroma. The wine is absolutely wonderful. The second wine was absolutely stunning as well. So I hope at least one of those did catch your attention. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please post it down below. I do my very best to follow up on each and every one. And if you've not yet subscribed, consider doing it right now. It very much does help this channel. Hope to see you again before too long. Cheers.